Hi, how do? Welcome back to my channel. I feel like I've said this over and over tonight. So today's video is going to be like a casual chat between me and Hajirah, who is my best friend. We're going to speak about how we met, how our lives are intertwined, and we're going to speak about racism Hajirah's dealt with. Jesus, that's might be so serious there. And we're going to like speak about the different cultures and how it's affected her life and how as her friend I viewed it and all of the above. But it's kind of just going to be an open chat, really. You want to add anything?
No, because that's literally just a good open chat about
there's not going to be
stuff that's happened, just like everything what we've all kind of been through and dealt with.
Yeah, there's not going to be any like questions or anything. It's just going to be like a chat about how we met, and then it'll make sense once you realise how we met into how the conversation begins. Okay,
so fair, I love it. It's funny, but
yeah. But please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Okay, so we're going to like rewind the clock to 2008.
2008,
yeah. First year high school. We were both 11.
Yes, because we were one of the youngest in the year.
So the first week of school didn't really speak. It was the first week we met, but
it was the first week, so I think maybe a couple of days in. I think it might have been either Wednesday or the
she's like
Thursday.
Specific.
Pacific or specific?
Oh my god, why can't specific? Okay.
No, but I was like, I remember it was like somewhere during like midweek because we were there for, obviously I don't think I spoke to you the first few days.
No, so our tutor classes, or like I don't know what everybody else calls it, Reggie, form, whatever, our classes were like mixed, and one day in geography I was sat like in the middle desk.
I think you were behind me.
No, I was in front of you because I didn't realise it was you, because I turned.
Oh, okay, that's one thing I can't remember if I was in front of you or behind you.
You were behind me.
I think I must have been right at the back behind you.
Yeah, so basically we were learning about different flags and, you know, like abbreviations of countries and stuff like that. And as an 11-year-old, I still understand the logic in my head, I just did not ask it the right way. So as an 11-year-old, I asked the teacher, why can people in the world call Scottish people Scots, but people from Pakistan can't get called, I'm not going to say the word because it's racist.
The P word.
Yep, which in my logical head made sense. Like there was nothing wrong with that. I was just a curious child that wanted an answer. Now, someone in our class was like, oh my god, Amy, you're so racist. And I turned around and Hajirah was there.
They pointed to me and being like, you can't say that, yeah, bitch. Yeah. And turned around and
instantly I felt horrendous. I felt like such a bad person, and I was like, oh my god, she's going to hate me, I'm going to get in so much trouble. I followed her around for like a week, begging her not to tell me, because I was like, I did not mean that, I am not racist.
The thing is that we had all our classes together, other than the ones that we were doing in our cheer groups. We were in every single class together. Yeah, so I basically stalked her until she became my friend. But I kind of opened my eyes up from a very young age, because for me personally, I've never been around like really like horrible racist people. I've been around people maybe that are casually racist or like generationally are racist, which isn't great, it's not a good thing at all, but they say it and they don't mean anything by it, although they're very uneducated and they really should become more educated. So that's what like I've seen, it's like more generational, and because you see it and you're like, you can't say that. And they're like, why not? That's like, I've always said it. And I'm like, but like now it's not the term you use. It's actually like ordering a Chinese. I'm like, and obviously they say, I'm like, yeah, I'm just like, no, you can't say that.
Yeah, so like for me, like obviously I was in such a bubble. I didn't really know a lot of kids from different backgrounds. I just knew the kids I grew up with. I wasn't really surrounded by it. My family were not horrible, nasty people. Anything that I heard, it was just an off the cuff remark. And as a kid, you don't know any different. You don't know.
No, so see, when you're in an environment where you're not with people to correct you, you're just going to be like, all right, okay. Because even so, when you said that, I'm not a confrontational person, so I was just like, but I knew at the same time you weren't doing anything. Right. It wasn't intentional for you to say like that, but it's like, because I kind of understood what you meant, but like because the P word's been used in such a racial slur, it's like you can't say the word.
Yeah, which like shows the different like experiences, because obviously you were used to that day in day out, whereas for me I was like, oh, that's what the corner shop gets called, or that's what like people that I know saying they don't say it with any venom, whereas for you your experience was completely different from that.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a
like
good...
obviously like growing up, like I'm just like but also when you said it, I was just like, it wasn't in venom, it wasn't directed in any way being that, but obviously even being a child, I was like, I didn't even know how to, I'm like, what do I say, because like I'm not a confrontational person, but I'm like, I don't hold it against you either, but I'm like, how do I correct you at the same time?
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience for myself, and I think it's the very first time as a child, and even like going into my teens and adult, that I can think back and go, that was probably one of the first times afterwards I thought, okay, I said something wrong here, and this was very uneducated, and I want to like learn more and be a better person. And I'm obviously still going to mess up. I still messed up. We've been friends since we were 11. I've probably still said stuff that have been wrong or asked things wrong a certain way. But that was like the very first like moment I thought, oh, wow, okay, there is a difference in how you say stuff. What kind of other experiences did you?
So like literally, like, it was just like more so like being in primary school and anything like that. So like being here in Scotland, I was just always around white people. Like in primary school I was the only not Asian kid, but like the brown kid up until what, primary 3, 4 in my first primary school, and then a girl came in who was same as me. She was Muslim and everything like that. So I was like, and then also I got to know her and stuff. So I was like, obviously we became friends and stuff. So I was, but then obviously I ended up moving. Obviously I moved down to England and stuff like that, and it just obviously it was different because there was like a community of Asian people there. I was South Asian, and I was like, right, okay. But then also I moved back up here, and I was like, literally being like the only brown kid, I just felt so awkward because I'm like, there's not a lot of people, like I can't really relate to people here.
You even said to me, I remember, because last year obviously with the whole George Floyd thing, the Black Lives Matter campaign, we had a lot of very in-depth conversations from it.
Yeah.
And I remember you saying to me that even as a kid you couldn't get like a brown baby, or like a doll, or like,
so like obviously for me it didn't really bother me because as a child you don't think about those things, you just see like I want a baby, and it's obviously it's like a white baby. But like there was probably a few dolls or babies like here and there that were like coloured, that were like POC, so it's like that's fine. But like obviously the majority of the ones I had were like white baby.
Yeah,
like the white baby, or like, because obviously I had like Barbie, like there was Bratz, but obviously with Bratz there were, I think, one was it Yasmin. Like she was slightly coloured.
And even with that, with like Bratz, I don't know like that's a thing for you, but Bratz, they're like, their features are so big, like their eyes are so big and their lips are so big, and that it doesn't actually look like a real person. For me personally, like as a white person, I look at it and go, that doesn't look like a real person, because it just looks so fake and modified. I don't know if you found that as well.
Like obviously I think more like, well obviously I was like, their heads are quite big and not in proportion. Like obviously when there's like certain features you see, like there's nothing in proportion.
Yeah.
But like I don't know if that was, obviously it would be intentional and stuff, like but I don't know, but like finding those, it was hard, but and like it was like not much we could do, because obviously back then they were just like, it's like more subtle like things, whereas now it's like, oh, a whole lot more.
Yeah, see, it's crazy, because for me as a kid, that was not something that ever entered my head. Like if I wanted a doll, like I'd got a doll and it was like the same colour as me, or like it looked like me, and that was it. Whereas like there was so much stuff you were saying to me, like even TV shows and stuff like that as a kid, that there was not many people that looked like you, or like spoke about your religion or
like or even like South Asian kids. Like even not Asian kids in general were deemed as like the nerdy book typey people. Like if you look back, you'll kind of see like which, I'm trying to think what TV shows.
It's like, hard when you think about it.
Like had like the stereotypical, because there are a few. I can't remember the top of my head. But it's like, obviously, if you go back and you'll see some of them.
It's just crazy when you like, that's the difference between our culture and your
because
culture.
More so growing up where I had more of the racism, like in primary school. High school was a little less, but because of everything I'd been called, like I'd been called like looking dirty. I actually even been, obviously I've got the P word, I've been also being told the N word as well. I have been told to go back home, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
I'm like, I was born here, especially when they're like, obviously when I like moved back here and they said that to me, and I'm like, what? Do you want me to go back to the hospital down the road where I was born? Because I was born at the local hospital right here.
It's so uneducated and crazy that people even think that. Like, they think, oh, if you're a different colour, or you have a different religion, or you speak a different language, then you are instantly, you don't belong here, you don't deserve to be here. Like, what makes people think that the UK is far better than everybody else? Like, I don't get it.
No, neither do
I don't get it.
Just like with, you do, like, even looking back, I'm like, how do kids even know what to say? Because I'm like, they won't learn that in school. It's like top behaviour. So they've seen someone in their family or someone around them shouting like racist remarks and just being like this, that and the other. I used to be told, hey, you're chocolate coloured, and I'm like, if that makes, I'm like, okay. I'm like, everybody likes chocolate, so
it's crazy that you even had to deal with that.
Like, I used to like shout back, yeah, well, if I'm that, then you're white chocolate, and I'm like, because I was. Like, because as a child, you don't know what to shout back.
You shouldn't even have to deal with that. That's crazy. What kind of differences did you notice from like your cultural background versus like cultural backgrounds here? Like, was there a big difference? Was there any difference?
Like, what do you mean? Like what type of cultural difference?
Like Western versus, sorry, why can't I think of the word? We've been speaking about it all weekend.
Like South Asian type.
Yeah, like
just say everybody's culture is different. And that's the thing. So obviously it's like, so I'm going to use Saturday as just obviously finding like a husband, like doing an arranged marriage. Like that is like one of my cultures. Like, if obviously I want my mum to find me someone, she can go and do it. But like, if it were for you guys, like for us that's normal, and you look at it like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
I also don't think it's explained to us properly.
That's the thing, people get mixed up between forced and arranged, because when I say arranged, users are like, what? No, you can't do that. I'm like, no, I can, because that's me. That's my decision. I'm wanting my parents to find me someone. They're not forcing it upon me, because that's what it was more back with like my mum. They were more like told, this is who you're marrying, which then people then tend to forget that is also against, they're not meant to force us. Having a forced marriage is not.
Yeah. Even things like, I remember last year when we were speaking, you said to me that, and I didn't know this until last year, that I introduced you to a lot of like pop culture, like pop music and things like that. Yeah, which so, like, I did not know at all.
So like music wise, I grew up on old school like Punjabi, like Bhangra stuff, Bollywood music. Like there was like English stuff in there, like more like what was like on radio, because I was like, there was Christina Aguilera, Avril Lavigne. They're like, but that was more so Christina Aguilera, absolutely obsessed as a child. But I think that was more so my sister, when she was starting listening to whatever she was listening to, I kind of listened to as well. But like the 80s music, like obviously there was maybe like a couple of songs here and there, but majority of it, like 80s ones, like all came from you. Like, yeah, genuinely, like, so I was like, as I like started knowing more, that's where it came from, because I was like, yeah, some of these I've just not really done.
That's crazy. Did you ever feel as though that you had to be friends with like more Asian people, or was it like easy enough to be friends with white people, or was it like?
So for me, I found it difficult to try and like, I'm already like really socially awkward anyway. So that's the one thing. I was like, when you became friends with me, I was just like, are you just doing it because also you felt guilty and bad about what you'd done.
And
then obviously that kind of just like made you become friends with me, and if you're just doing it out of that, that's what I felt. Well, obviously at that age, that's what I felt like. So I'm like, oh, you're just doing this just to be nice, and then obviously give it a couple of weeks and stuff and you'll not be friends with me. Because I was like, say, because I've moved so many times, it kind of put a thing of trying to make friends. It's like I don't kind of withdrew from people like that, because I was just like, I don't want to make friends, because if I do I might need to move and I don't want that. But
because like for me as an 11-year-old, I just thought like, oh my god, like I feel really bad, like I don't want
you get that.
And I wasn't necessarily like I need to be friends with her. It was more like I don't want to. At first, I don't want to get in trouble, and then it was okay, we're friends. And then afterwards, it was such a natural progression. Like we always say we're each other's like perfect calm and perfect storm, because like we're so different, but we get on so well, and we always have.
Because then it's like obviously as I got over it, it just like seemed like you'd always kind of bring out more, make me feel a bit more confident. I was like, yeah, you can do it. It's just like you'll be fine.
It was also like interesting, like from my perspective, a lot of people whenever I like say, oh, like my best friend's like Asian, or like, oh my god, like tell me about the culture and what's it like, is their family like lovely, or they like, yes, it doesn't matter whether she is Asian, white, or like whatever. It's like she's my friend not because of her religion or the colour of her skin. She's my friend because of your personality. And like, yes, it's amazing that I've been like I've learned a lot more about the culture, and I've learned like a lot more about stories you tell me, or
about more like religious stuff, and like what I can like what goes through like our minds and stuff, like when stuff happens,
or like racism. Like I feel like I'm quite an open and honest person, and I'm quite a person that's willing to be educated, but I feel like because you're my best friend, it's opened me up far more because I see it more.
Because that's one thing, it's like I know when you guys ask me questions, sometimes you don't ask it in the best way, but I was like, it's like you, that's literally it. It's like you want to ask me something, but you're like, it's gonna sound racist and I don't know other way to word it. But I'm like, right, if you're finding a way to want to word it, but yet you know it's gonna sound really bad, but anyway you're like, please don't kill me, or please don't like hate on me or hit me. I'm like, I would rather you say it to me, because I know you're asking me. It's me, and I'm like, you are not saying it, you want to learn.
But I think that shows how much an amazing person you are, though, because not a lot of people would have patience like that after so many years of. They would be sick of it.
Well, you do get sick of it, and it's like, but there's only. I was like, I would rather you guys learn. Obviously, I was like, what do you want me to do? I'm like, I can't shout at you, and I was like, no, don't ask at me that way, and be like, no, I'm not answering that because of the way you've asked me. I was like, no, I'll ask it. I was like, right. That is not how. I was like, okay, if you try to answer this question, try and say it like this. But even I'm like, okay, I was like, that I understand, because I'm like, that's either awkward or a difficult question to try and say in a non-racist way. But I was like, with your friends, I know you are not doing it in any venomous, salacious way of asking me it, because you guys are wanting to learn. You are learning.
Which I think it's really good that you're open like that, and not like getting so like annoyed at us, or like don't want to answer it, because
sometimes it's the only way where people don't realise. Yes, it can be annoying, but like, why would I get mad at? I'm like, yes, I'm just sat there, because sometimes I'm just like, oh, for God's sake. But I'm like, I'd answer it. Obviously, I would answer it, and then obviously I'd be like, okay. I was like, okay, not the best way to ask it, but. Something, because you just say it as it just comes into your head when you're answering questions or asking questions.
But it was like, for example, when I was in Hadras about a month or two ago, and I was asking her about her religion and about marriage and about divorce, and if they have to go through divorce twice, because within your religion you have to, what do you have to do again? You have to.
So we, I think, have to go see an imam, or is it
Your mum explained it to me, but I
can't remember. I know my mum explained it to you, but I can't remember. But I think you need to go, and also there needs to be a witness, and you need to go to the imam, and I think you have to get. There's a permission, I think. What was it?
Yeah, so you have to go through that,
and then we have to go through the English, because obviously we've got two marriages. We've got the Islamic one, and then we obviously have the English one. So you have to go through literally 2 divorces.
Yeah, which I didn't know. I just thought, you know, like one divorce within your religion, that was
so
it.
You have to be like divorced like twice, so religiously and then officially.
Which,
well, technically the religious one is officially as well.
But even like after the George Floyd murder and when we're speaking about Black Lives Matters and we spoke a lot about it, I was reading stuff online and it was, one of the things was, what does your friend want to be referred to as? Like, do you want me to say you're brown or you're like a person of colour? And you said to me, actually I would prefer a person of colour, and I was like, well, we've never had that conversation before, ever.
I was like, I'm a person of colour because I am essentially coloured, but like, so it's just like, it's like one of those ones you don't know the terms, but you're like, right, okay, this. But sometimes it's like also things that you've not thought of, or because it's never really been asked or been said. Because even myself, you can learn, even being, you can still learn.
Yeah, I think it's definitely about keeping the conversation as open as you want it to be. Like, it shouldn't just solely be on you because you're a friend, the person of colour. It should be everybody that's open.
Yeah,
and
because that's why I don't mind like answering questions. I don't like come. I was like, if you want me to answer questions, I'll answer them as best I can, because I'm like, sometimes like some questions you ask me, it's like, I'm unsure, I'll need to ask, like you said about the divorce, I'll need to ask my mum.
Or it's about your experience, and everybody's experience is different.
Yeah,
like because mine's and Samantha's is different. Yours will be different from like your sister's, for example.
Yeah, I think like everybody's like, everybody's experiences will be different.
Yeah,
100% totally, because growing up is more, the racism for me happened more in primary school than it did in high school, but due to it being in primary school and me growing up, it impacted me later on.
Yeah.
So like being in high school, it impacted me quite a bit. Anyway, with self-confidence and stuff, because I was just
It's crazy. It's crazy when you like, because we were speaking about it, and when you think back and you're like,
you don't realise it, like, because obviously, like, to be fair, I think I've probably blocked out most of my childhood. Like, there are bits I can remember, but then like not everything.
Yeah,
but like I've bits and pieces.
It's just crazy. But I think having an open and honest chat, or like I like to have an open and honest chat with you, but I also like to go away and educate myself as well on different things.
I think that's the thing, like, there's only so much I can like give you as like, if you want like personal stuff and more, because obviously it's like, at the time when you were asking me questions, like, I was like, I'm still learning myself, because I was still at mosque. I was still learning as well, as same as you guys. I was like, because obviously being coming over to yours first time for dinner, funny as hell. I couldn't stop laughing. Your mum was embarrassed between you and John asking me these questions in so many different ways, and she was just like, shut the fuck up. Yeah, it's just crazy though. But I think like the overall message is just being kind to people and understanding that people's pasts, or like people's like journeys or life experiences are different, and you should never judge someone on the colour of their skin or anything like that. Because I would say, like, up here it's not, I haven't really like dealt with it like now. I know it's there, like I 100% I know it is, but I've yet to experience it being older. Yeah, but the ones in primary school still has such an impact on you. But like, this thing's like, it's the one thing I don't know why, but I feel wearing traditional clothing, I feel uncomfortable wearing it. Like my everyday type of clothing, due to like the racism shit, I feel so uncomfortable wearing. I know I shouldn't be. Yeah. But I am, because I was like, I know the looks I would get, just like the stare downs and stuff, and it's just, do you know what, it's like, I know it's where most of my family is, but it's when I'm down in England, and also that is where, because I know that's where most of it is, so when I go down, I'm like, I don't like wearing it. Like, that's so sad, isn't it? You should be able to be proud. Like, like, to be fair, like, they're so comfy and stuff, but like, I just feel like, I don't know why. I know I shouldn't, because half of our stuff is absolutely stunning, and I love, I've got everyday wear there, and I would happily wear it, but like, it makes me feel so uncomfortable, and my anxiety goes so up. So like, when I'm wearing like normal clothes like this when I'm down there, obviously they want me to wear it, and I'm like, no, and they don't, like, my family don't realise. Well, to be fair, I've never said. It's also my mum's watching this. I'm like, sorry.
I think it's good to be open like that though, so they can kind of maybe understand more.
But like the thing is, like, I do like them, but I'm just like, I don't know why I feel like that.
It's probably because people's made you feel like that over time. Yeah.
Because even I know there's just I'm trying to think. I don't even know where that even stemmed from.
It's probably a deep-rooted childhood issue, like that.
Probably. Yeah. It probably is, because I'm like, when I wear my fancy stuff, I don't mind it, because like I know everybody loves like my fancy stuff, because it's like it's so pretty, it's sparkly. That's fine. I would have that. I happily wear it. I think I did. I went to the so Eid. I went to Amber's. You know, so we went to co-op. I was like, I'll just go co-op to take my little cousin, walked with him, and then also I've just got looked at. They're all looking at me and my little cousins. I was just like, oh great. But I was like, because I really fancy, and I was like, to be fair, I'm gonna get stared at. It was like one of those ones. It's just like, regardless of which ones I wear, and I do go in like wearing traditional clothes. I was like, I know I'm gonna get stared at regardless.
That's crazy that people even like do that. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I've been brought up around you and I'm more like immersed into it. I would never ever look at someone that's walked in somewhere dressed in different clothes. Like I just.
But I think more so in like, you get people that look and they're looking because they're like, oh, it's pretty.
Yeah.
But then as like you get some stares, I'm just like, I don't know if those stares are looking because you like it or you kind of not wanting. That way you just can't read someone's face or just the way they've looked at you, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna what.
So what would be like your thing you would want to say to people to make them like understand how their actions could impact you?
Just be mindful of how you say things, because how you say things can, regardless at what age, can impact someone so much. Like it may be a slight, like obviously with you it was more luck than anything. So say I was still a kid, I was just like, huh. But I was just like more, because like growing up, like saying that impacted me, and it wasn't more until third year that it started to be more. Because that, like, one of the things due to like me was also like self-harming was that, because I just grew up thinking I'm not pretty enough, just feeling so uncomfortable in my own skin because people made me feel like my skin colour is just not right.
Yep.
Like that I'm not meant to be there or stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's like never is like made me feel like pretty or anything like that. So like it took me so long to get out of that mind frame.
Words are powerful. I don't think people realise.
Like even like during high school, like having a crush on a guy or anything, I would never say which one. Because of, I would compare myself to everyone, and I'm like, my skin's not like them, or I'm not skinny like her. Yeah. Or like,
which is something we never would think about in school. We never thought about like, oh, our skin colour is going to impact.
No, because I was just like nobody's like, I'm too. Like obviously I've been around like people mostly, but like I was like, no guy's gonna like me or anything like that. Like.
Do you know, which is funny now, because most of our friends find you like incredibly fit and fancy you the most. Like it's crazy the mindset, because like we look at you and we think, oh my god, like how fit are you and how pretty and nice, and like every guy we know will say the same, but because of the way people have made you feel, like you just don't think it. Like
it wasn't until like what did I say to you, 5th year, coming up into 6th year, where I started to feel more comfortable.
Because people were fake tanning.
Because people were fake tanning, and then it made me realise, I'm like, people with fake tanning are like trying to get the same colour as me, which I am naturally. And then you get, and it's the racists that go on holiday, go to these places to get like
a tan.
And I'm like, yous are going off at us about our skin colour, but yet you attempt to get the same colour as me by going to sunbeds, fake tan, go on holiday, nearly giving you guys like skin cancer for getting to the same colour as me.
Yeah.
I'm like, huh? And obviously, well, so what happened was like you had the girls coming like comparing tans and stuff. That I'm like, that is racist, but like to be fair, I did find it funny because I'm like, yous are like spending so much money to get the same colour as me.
Yeah, and it's crazy. It's crazy to even think that's crazy to think of how much people has impacted you with flyaway comments and not realising the impact it can make.
Yeah, it's just...
It's crazy. So the advice? The vibe.
What words?
Is that words are powerful. And
They
it doesn't
are.
matter whether you mean to say it in a bad way or not, like they will stick with people.
You're like, you don't know what type of person you're gonna get and how that's gonna impact them. Especially like with us, like obviously we shouldn't even be used to it, but we are.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I was just like, we get called the names and we're just like, right, okay, anything else? Anything that I was like, we've heard this all before, like, have you anything else?
So that would be our thing to do, wouldn't it, Haj?
Yeah.
Words are powerful. Always think about what you're saying, and just because someone looks different to you or you're not used to their culture or religion does not give you the right to be racist or horrible. And that every day is a school day, and educate yourself. It doesn't mean that you are falling into the like norm of what society expects of you. They're just expecting you to be a good person. So that's what I would say.
Yeah.
Any final words? Yeah,
no, it's literally it's just like, regardless of the person, you've got to understand what they've been through as well. Because you need to be mindful, especially being older. And also like now, like with the kids growing up now, they are so lucky to be learning from a young age, being like, this is what this is.
Yep.
Like, since the George Floyd like things have came up, and it's like literally things that have had to be brought up for a long time.
The good thing is that the world, and it is a slow progression, but it is progressing slowly, bit by bit. Like, it's not there yet, it's not going to be there for a bit, but it's slowly,
but like still with like, I think with my people, it's still
it's definitely,
even because everything that's been going on in the world, like I still get shit for it, like anything to do with, like, we've got like the terrorist attacks and shit like that. That's the one thing I never understand is when obviously somebody like Islamically or does something and they're like, oh, it's a terrorist.
Yeah, but a white person is not.
For a white person, when it comes to a white person, or are they mentally ill?
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, they're still a terrorism. They've formed a terrorist
attack.
It's like still a form of terrorism.
Sorry, I wasn't smiling at that. I was smiling at Samantha. She's off the camera just now and my toes were cracking.
But like,
that looked like
I didn't even know you were smiling.
No, I was laughing at
Samantha.
I was so
like,
sorry.
I try not to.
Yeah.
But it's just like how Islam and the people are like perceived. Like since 9/11, like we've always been perceived as bad. I'm like, but we're not. I'm like, we are one like of a peaceful religion. I'm like, you meet. Obviously, you get the hardcore ones. Like, with any religion, you always get the hardcore ones, yes.
Yeah.
But, like, if you get to know Asian people, it's, you know, like, we are the sweetest people. We are, like, so welcoming. I'm like, if you want to learn.
The fact that you even have to justify that is crazy. Like, because people have made you feel as though you have to justify it because of the news.
It's, like, literally just how the news, like, perceive us. Yeah. As just, like... I'm like, we're not that type of people. I'm like, there's always going to be people that do things religiously and I'm like, but that's not part of our religion at all.
Yeah,
and not part of our culture either. So it's like neither. What you're doing is nothing to do with Islam, nothing to do about being a Muslim at all.
No, it's just infuriating. Obviously the news and that don't help it, which is why I wanted to obviously make this video to speak about how we first met, because I think it's really important. It's a lesson for me. I've been learning every single day since it. I wanted obviously for you to be able to speak firsthand about things that you've gone through, because that's something I will never understand because I've never been in that position. So thank you for being so honest.
You're so welcome.
And anything else you want to say before we peace out?
I was going to say something, but I forgot. I was like, eh.
No, I think you were very open and honest.
But like, that's the thing, like, since like everything's like came up, like a lot of people have like came and asked me about things, and I'm like, I will so happily answer that yes.
Yep, which is good, and so you continue to educate us all the time, and yeah. But
I say that's one thing, like you learn everything, like even obviously when I'm growing, like I'm still kind of not learning, but like start to see things differently. Because obviously it's like I know I'll never be the same, like there's always different expectations and everything, so it's like what
that is it's proper, like, so it's going to be different, but I think you handle it quite well considering.
It's just like obviously certain like justifying certain things about myself, and I went, I'm not that person.
I know, it's crazy you even have to, but thank you for speaking on the video. And as we said, just be mindful of how you say things to people, like, and be kind, and that's it. So thank you for watching, thank you for doing it, and we love you, and thanks. That's all I've got to say.
Bye.
Bye.